Hello again everybody and welcome to our final chapter of the week. We are now on to chapter 19, The Land of the Old Woman. Okay. The children and the others were quite shocked at being thrown up the ladder through the hole in the cloud and seeing such a funny land. It was quite small, not much larger than a big garden. It had a high wall all round to prevent the children from falling off the edge of the land, and in the middle was a really rather peculiar thing. "It's the shoe," said Joe. "Gosh, I never imagined such a big one, did you?" Everyone stared at the shoe. It was as big as an ordinary house and had been made very cleverly into a cottage. Windows were made in the side and a door had been cut out. A roof had been put on and chimneys smoked from it. A rose tree climbed around it and honeysuckle covered one side. "So, that's the shoe where those naughty children live," said Beth excitedly. "I never thought it would be quite like that. How did the old woman get such a big one?" "Well, it once belonged to a giant, you know," said Silky. "The old woman did him a good turn and asked him for an old boot. She had so many children that she couldn't get an ordinary house. So the giant gave her one of his biggest boots and she got her brother to make it into a house." "Look at all those children," said Moonface. "They're not very well behaved." About 20 boys and girls were playing round the house. They shouted and screamed and they fought and wrestled each other. "I'm not surprised the old woman wouldn't allow them bread with their soup and punished them and sent them to bed," says Silky. "They deserved it." The children suddenly saw Joe and the others and ran up to them. They pulled Beth's hair, they tugged at Saucepan's kettles, they made fun of Moonface's round face, they trod on Joe's toes and bumped into Rick. They were very naughty and unkind. "Now, just you stop all this," said Moonface, looking angry. "If you don't, I'll fetch the old woman." "She isn't here, she isn't here," shouted the naughty children, dancing round in delight. "She says she's going to go away and leave us, and we're glad. Now we shall have bread with our soup, and we'll go into the cupboard and open cans of pineapple and jars of cherries, and we'll sleep out of doors if we like, and we'll dress up in the old woman's clothes." "Whatever will she say to that?" said Beth in horror, thinking what her own mother would say if she stole her clothes. "Oh, she would be furious," cried the children. "But she's gone, so she won't know. Oh, we'll have a great time now." One of the children in the shoe called to the others, "Hey, I've opened a can of pineapple. Come and taste it. It's lovely." With screams of delight, the children rushed to the shoe. Joe looked at the others. "I've got an idea," he said. "What about telling the old woman about the children dressing up in her best clothes? She might rush back here then to get her precious clothes, and we could slip down the ladder, go to Moonface's house, and bolt the door on the inside." "That's a really good idea," said Silky. "Joe, you go down and tell her." Joe was rather nervous about it. Nobody really wanted to go and see the fierce old lady again. At last, Rick said that he would. He badly wanted to make up for all the silly things he'd done only a few days before. "I'll go," he said, and down the ladder he went. He banged hard on Moonface's door. The old woman opened it. "Old woman, do you want your best clothes?" began Rick. "Because if..." "My best clothes? I'd forgotten all about them," cried the old woman. "Those children will be messing about with them. Boy, go to my house, get out all of my clothes and bring them down to me. You can have a toffee if you do." "Well, I think..." began Rick, but the old woman wouldn't listen to him. She pushed him away and cried, "Go now! Don't stop to argue with me! Go at once!" Rick ran up the ladder. He waited there a minute or two, his head sticking out into the land above. He saw the naughty children coming out the shoe, dressed up in the old woman's clothes, shrieking with laughter. And how funny they looked dressed up in long skirts and dresses and hats. Rick grinned to himself and slipped down the ladder again. He banged at Moonface's door. "Well, have you brought my clothes?" asked the old woman. "You naughty boy, you haven't." "Please, old woman, I couldn't bring them," said Rick in his most polite voice. "You see, your children have taken them all and they're dancing about, wearing them. And they've opened your cans of pineapple. And they're going to take their beds out of doors and sleep there and..." "Oh, the bad naughty creatures," cried the old woman. She gathered up her black skirts and climbed the ladder at top speed. She appeared in the land above and saw at once her naughty children dancing about in her best clothes. She rushed after the surprised children. "So you thought you could do what you like, did you?" she cried. "You thought I'd never come back? Well, here I am, and I'll soon show you how to be sorry." She was so angry that she rushed around like a whirlwind. The children took off their clothes in fright and ran away like hares. The old woman ran after them, so angry that she didn't notice that Joe and the others were not her own children. They got whirled into the shoe with the others. There they all were, about 25 or 26 of them. There was a big saucepan simmering on the kitchen stove. "Get the soup bowls," ordered the old woman. "No bread for any of you tonight. Mary, Jean, Tom, serve out the bowls and then come to me one by one for your supper." Joe and the others had bowls given to them too. They didn't dare say anything. They went up for soup in their turn. The old woman ladled it out of the big saucepan. She stared at the old saucepan man when he came up. "You bad boy," he said. "You've played a game with my kettles and saucepans, I see. Wait till you finish your soup and I'll punish you." Poor old saucepan trembled so much that his pans clashed together as loudly as thunder. He rushed back to his place at once, spilling his soup as he went. "I want some bread," wailed the little boy, but he didn't get any. Everyone ate their soup, which was really very good. "And now you'll all go to bed. But first, you know what happens to naughty children," said the old woman as she shook her fist. And all the children began to howl and cry, "We're sorry we were naughty. We didn't mean to dress up in your clothes." "Oh, yes, you did," said the old woman. She beckoned to Rick. "Come here, you bad boy." Rick got up. He whispered to the others, "Look, I'll let her punish me, and while she does, you creep out and run down the ladder. Hurry, I'll join you as soon as I can." Rick went boldly up to the old woman. "Put your hands on your head and stand in the corner," she said. Poor Rick, he didn't like it at all, because it made his arms ache. He began to howl as loudly as he could, so the others could creep away without being heard. One by one, they slipped out the door and rushed to the hole looking for the ladder that led down to the faraway tree. "Oh no, I believe this land is just about to move," said Moonface, looking round. A peculiar wind had got up and was blowing around them. Very often when the strange lands at the top of the tree began to move, this strange wind blew. "Well, quick, let's get down the ladder," cried Silky. "We don't want to live in the land of the old woman. I'd hate that." They all scrambled down the ladder, glad to be on the broad branch at the bottom. When they were safely there, Beth began to cry. "Poor Rick will be left behind," she sobbed. Everyone looked very sad. The land above the cloud began to make a strange noise. "It's moving on," said Moonface. "We'll never see Rick again." But just then, someone came slipping and sliding down the ladder. Bump, bump, bump. And hey presto, there was Rick. In such a hurry to get down before the land moved right away that he'd missed his footing and slid down the ladder from top to bottom. "Rick, we're so glad to see you!" Everyone cried. "What happened?" "Well, the old woman punished me, as you saw," grinned Rick. "And then, when I went to take my place, she saw you were all gone and sent me after you. I tore her out and she came too, but I got to the ladder first, and now the land has moved on, so we're safe." Whew. Moonface went into his house, and they heard him banging about loudly. They went to see what he was doing. "He's taking up the board that nailed up the slippery slip," giggled Joe. "Good old Moonface. I'm glad he's got his house back again for himself. Come on, we'd better go home. We promised Mother we wouldn't be long. It's a good thing we can still use a slippery slip." And down they went, their hair streaming out as they flew down on their cushions. What exciting times they have, don't they? Okay. Well, yeah, so that's it for this week. I really hope you've enjoyed it, whether you've watched them all at once or watched them one a day at a time. And like I said, hopefully there should be a little quiz coming your way soon. And because I know you always like to know, the next chapter is called The Land of Magic Medicines. Okay. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.